Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Insurance Experts. It's my pleasure to have on my Jovan Will. He's a marketing expert, he's an FMO in the insurance world, and he's got a lot to share with us today. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so I know you have a unique background. Tell me a little bit about how you got into the annuity marketing space.
Yeah, I stumbled upon this industry around 2009, 2010. At the time, I was doing digital marketing and I was selling a wealth coaching program through a series of funnels and online ads, and saw the opportunity to see how to integrate what I was doing for an advisor. And so, this advisor I worked with for a number of years became very successful in being able to gather assets and sell annuities using 100% done for you digital marketing. And so that was kind of my foray. I'd say this industry kind of chose me. I never woke up one morning and said, "Hey, I want to get involved with annuity marketing." But nonetheless, it's been extremely rewarding. I've learned so many things, made some great friends along the way, made a lot of mistakes, learned a lot of lessons. But that's kind of how I got my start in this industry.
That's
So,
awesome. And I'm sure you've helped a lot of people out there too, consumers, getting their retirement plans in place. Tell me a
mhm.
little bit about your current firm and what you're doing today.
Yeah, so we operate much like a lot of FMOs in the sense where we are a business that really makes money and revenue based on the production of advisors that we serve. So what that means is we focus on three very specific things. First and foremost is we offer done for you digital marketing, annuity, lead generation, appointment setting. So that is the very first level of focus that we focus on. Second thing we do is we train advisors on how to be really proficient and confident in what we call virtual client acquisition. And that means virtual sales, how to be really good at being able to offer annuities, explain them in a way, and be able to gather assets without having to meet with clients in person. And we've been doing this for a number of years pre COVID-19 situation. And then the third level is world class wholesaling. So, as we're probably well aware, not every wholesaler is created equal. So, it's a bit more than just running illustrations, but there's a fair amount of thought and strategy put into case design, withdrawal strategies, things like that. And so, those are three specific areas that we focus on. But I would say the primary advisor type that we work with are the advisors that want to be a virtual advisor. And so, right now, virtual is a big thing. Everyone's talking about it. I've been talking and podcasting and mentioning virtual advising for a number of years. And so for a number of years, I've been seeing this trend as the future, that this is where things are going to arrive. And I think the present situation that we're experiencing today has just kind of forced the hand of our industry to change. And I think it's going to be a good thing. I think the transparency is going to be great for consumers. I think it's going to force marketing organizations, FMOs, much like our group, to really commit to delivering more value to empower advisors to really thrive in this new normal, in this new environment. So that's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I totally 100% agree with you. I mean, we do virtual marketing and sales with long-term care specialists, so in the long-term care marketplace, so a very similar model. I think it's just accelerated the curve to people adopting it. And consumers are now more comfortable using Zoom, for example, than ever before because of this. So, you got to look at the silver lining in some of these things. But it's great that you were an early adopter of this and you're well positioned now. I want to focus on the kind of the top end of the funnel, right? The marketing aspect. You do a lot more than that, but I think a lot of agents and advisors out there, they call it the holy grail. Everyone wants to generate new clients, and it seems to be a mysterious world, digital marketing, and where do you invest your time and your money, and can you do it in addition to doing point of sale? So let's talk about some of those aspects. If you had to give your number one tip, let's say for an agent or advisor that's doing marketing and trying to launch their digital platform today, what would you recommend to them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, before we go to like marketing tactics, I think what's really important to understand and be clear on is what do you want to specialize in? And so that's something I think is kind of not really addressed in the sense where we talk about specialization on the sales side, but what about like running your practice? So before an advisor wants to start whipping together funnels and campaigns, you got to really be really clear. Do I want to be managing campaigns on a day-to-day basis and servicing and meeting with clients? And if the answer is yes, then I have some answers for you for that. If the answer is, I actually just want to focus on serving clients well, for those people, I'd suggest, find a way to really partner with an organization that is going to be able to help you with your marketing. Now, it sounds kind of obvious, but nonetheless, I don't think some advisors look at it that way. If an advisor is, writing $5 million of annuity business, that means six figures of overrides being placed with some marketing organization, FMO nonetheless. So, I want to make sure that group that they're running their business through is really helping them with marketing. And the ideal scenario would be that group is handling all the marketing so that advisor can step into what they're really good at, which is serving clients well. Now, going back to the other scenario, if an advisor wants to handle everything themselves, I mean, I would say one of the the lowest bar to entry, which is good and sometimes bad, is Facebook. So if an advisor wanted to, do a foray into online marketing, it's a bit different than it was 10 years ago when I first got started. Google search was far more expensive, and it still is today. So Facebook is probably one of the most viable pathways for an advisor if they want to learn how to do it themselves. But just consider, because the barrier to entry is quite low, the competition is quite high. There's a lot of marketing people on Facebook, but nonetheless, it is a very viable way for advisors to get started with digital marketing if, in fact, that's where they wanted to go.
Cool. And let's talk about the broad landscape of what the options are for an advisor and what you guys do. Where do you generate most of the opportunities for your advisors that you partner with?
Yeah, so with respect to digital advertising marketing, I mean, there's a whole spectrum of consumers that we target, but because we are specific to annuities, that's our bread and butter. We do what I call congruent marketing, and so there's a lot of marketing out there where you have Social Security optimization marketing, estate planning, tax planning, nonetheless. And unfortunately, this industry is set up where you have to do all these different types of charades, but then you backdoor an annuity, and I don't think that's really ethical. So what we do, which is very specific to where people are at. And so some people are in a situation where they're researching annuities and they're just trying to find and make sure, is annuity right for me? Am I getting the best deal? And we serve those people with specific landing pages, offers, and presentations to really help them. And if in fact they want one-on-one help, then we set them up with a virtual meeting with the licensed advisor. And then there are some other people that they may not necessarily have a top of mind or a level of awareness with respect to annuities quite yet, but they do know that they need guaranteed lifetime income. They never want to run out of income throughout retirement. And perhaps there's this thing called the income gap that we need help getting solved. And so in that scenario, we would have them set up to have a conversation, very similar in the sense we have in our entire sales process, but the marketing meets people with where they are at. And so Facebook would be an example of lower intent people that may not have the highest level of awareness with annuities. And then Google search, which is pretty obvious. If someone types in annuity rates or a specific annuity product, we could presume that prospect has somehow been either sold or proposed annuities and is a little bit further down the buying cycle. So that's how that works.
Well, I love the approach you take. It's very consultative. You're treating prospects like they're people, which of course is what you should do in marketing, is understand, who your client is, treat them with respect. And it's interesting that you're analyzing it based on their intent in terms of where you're actually, let's say, doing your advertising. Are you finding more success in the Google world for yourself, for your business, in the Facebook world, or somewhere else? What are you seeing as kind of the leading frontier of where, let's say, lead generation for annuity advisors is headed?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so my answer is really going to change depending on what quarter or what month you ask me. So there's times where we're seeing tremendous success with Google. There's times where we're seeing tremendous success with Facebook. What we do, which is a bit different, is that we diversify traffic amongst those two platforms and actually others. And so depending on what we're seeing from a cost per lead and a quality standpoint and type of cases that are being written, we will diversify or reallocate spend to those traffic platforms. And so there's a lot of forces, economic forces, governmental forces, that in some ways just changed the way that consumers engage with these platforms, whether it's Facebook or Google and now YouTube. So I could not say that any one is better than the other because it does change from time to time. But I'd say that, the most obvious ones would be the ones that have the largest, most robust artificial intelligence, machine learning platforms. Obviously, Facebook and Google Search and Google Display, and now we're seeing that with YouTube, where YouTube is literally going to be the next frontier for advertising. And we're not talking about posting videos; we're talking about actual paid traffic on YouTube, which I think is going to be a tremendous opportunity for our industry.
Right. And I think it's very important to be consistent in the marketing, but also to be ahead of the curve. And you're talking about YouTube and you're kind of ahead of the curve on this. Where would you say is, where YouTube is headed? Obviously, a lot of people have been becoming influencers and building channels on there and posting videos, kind of like what we're doing. But you actually, I think you see it in a different area. Where do you think the opportunity is there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think a couple things. I mean, tactically speaking, I think those three traffic sources that we referred to are going to be, viable for years to come. That's my prediction, and I think YouTube will start to portion off more advertising dollar spends from Facebook. So a lot of Facebook advertisers are going to reallocate some spend over to YouTube. But I think just fundamentally, if we take a step back from the tactics of marketing, I think treating people as humans sounds so basic and fundamental. But what's interesting is I think there's a big missing of that in our industry, particularly with annuities. The whole process by which they're marketed and sold, not very transparent. There's a lot of it's very opaque, the whole process, the fees, it's very complicated. So I think what anyone that wants to succeed in the annuity marketplace and as a specialist with respect to income planning, I think a fair degree of helping people with due diligence, comparisons, analyses, where you can really help people mathematically and objectively determine how one annuity might outperform another based on contractual guarantees. I think that's where the future is headed. And then the marketing mechanisms that we utilize, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or Google, we all want that to be seamlessly congruent all together. But I think really meeting people with where they're at, being helpful, serving people, not steering people into any one product based on commissions and or overrides, I think that's the future of where things are headed.
And obviously, the clients, that really appeals to them. So just it naturally fits with the give to get, the marketing, modern marketing of today. One of the other things you're kind of touching upon is education. So obviously, you can do screen shares now, which is great, and showing transparently side by side different, let's say, annuity options. And you can also do webinars and educate in an environment where you can show that and add that transparency. I'm a big fan of webinars, and do a lot of them. I know you are as well. Where do you think the webinar fits within your advisors that you're working with?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're seeing this huge boom of webinars all over the place where everyone is promoting webinar funnels and webinar methodologies. But here's what I see. The challenge with webinars when you're trying to deploy them on Facebook or any other marketing platform to cold traffic, as we call it, most webinars are 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes an hour in length. So it's a big ask for people that don't have a relationship with us, that just literally met us on a Facebook ad. So I think just like what you're doing, Mark, props to you guys and what you're doing. We do something very similar in that I think webinars are far better suited once they've actually been into your world, into your own like relationship ecosystem, as we call it. And so I think that's one of the most effective uses of webinars, where because you can really build a relationship, you can create value. And in a lot of ways, what's really good about webinars is that it really brings people to a certain place and time. So it's based around an event, very different than people consuming it at their own time. And then if you get some engagement where you can have some Q&A. So I couldn't think any highly of better using webinars, but I think the proper use in the right order for marketing is going to be key. Because I've already had many advisors reach out to me, hey, I've been deploying webinars and no one's showing up, or I got half people showing up, no one's showing up for appointments. How do I close a business? That is yet to be figured out. I don't know if that's really what webinars are really designed for, but I think based on how you use them, I think that's exactly what I would recommend for people to do for sure.
And it's so critical how you promote the webinar, getting people to attend, following up with them personally afterwards. That whole process doesn't really change when you're doing a webinar environment. It's very similar for those advisors out there that have done for many years seminars, lunch or dinner seminars. Just taking it to the web and trying to construct the same type of education and relationship building exercise there.
Right.
Speaking of webinars, this is a plug maybe, or an invite, an offer I'm going to make to you on camera here. Hopefully you'll be a guest on our webinar and you can share these. We'll do a longer format and try to share some of these tips with the broader agent and advisor community. But really appreciate your time being on the video today, and hope to collaborate with you more in the future. Kudos to everything you're doing.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. And props to you for what you're doing for the industry. We need more people like you really doing good out there, serving the community. Tremendous what you're doing. And thank you for the opportunity. I certainly appreciate it. It's been great.